Hey fighters, this is Master Scarsella here. We've got one of our Taekwondo and fighter trainers. Dominic is going to be my assistant today. We are going to start a few-part series on one of my favorite body weight movements, push-ups. One of the first things that when people think about push-ups is it is an upper body development exercise. And yes, that's true, but if it's done the right way, it is really a full body development exercise. So one of the first things I want to do, we're going to have some fun in this series. We're going to go from more basic and actually correcting faults that we see in push-ups to more advanced and having some fun with some different variations of push-ups in future videos of this series. So when it comes to a push-up, one of the first things that we want to look at is just the setup. And I really believe in most athletic movements, if we set things up the right way, even before we do the movement, we're already 70–80% of the way to doing the movement the right way. I know that if I set up my golf swing the wrong way and have my wrist the wrong way or the grip the wrong way or my foot position the wrong way, it's really hard to have a good swing if the setup doesn't kick us off to the right start. And that goes for a push-up as well. So one of the first things we want to do, so when we see a good push-up position, and we can move the camera so we can kind of see all the way around here, is you can see how Dominic has his hands just slightly outside of where his shoulders are, which would make sense that these arms now are straight up and down. And that also means at the bottom of his push-up, good, his arms are going to be just slightly outside your arms or your shoulders, which is going to be a great position, a strong position, where if we get too inside, we're going to start compromising certain parts of our body. One more time, come all the way up. So that's going to be a great hand position. One of the faults that we see with push-ups on the hands is either we go too narrow to start, right? And then that's going to start to compromise where the elbows start to flare and the shoulders. If we do push-ups with our hands close together, we can do them the right way to focus on triceps development a little bit more. But as far as a traditional push-up goes, let's set us up for success. So slightly outside your shoulders. And then the other one that I see pretty often is that our fingers, instead of pointing forward, are slightly in this way, which somewhat disconnects how our lats and traps are going to be able to engage our midline, especially on the way down. You'll start to see, go ahead, do a push-up with your fingers out. Our elbows will start to flare out this way, which isn't going to recruit as much muscle or done as safely, especially as we do lots of repetitions. So try to make sure your fingers are forward, slightly outside your shoulders. Why don't you just relax for a second there. The next setup thing that we're going to think about for push-up is going to be that midline engagement. And one of the drills that I like for us to be able to feel this done the right way is if you can actually flip so your feet are over here, is just to understand how to keep this midline tight, because what happens when we see a push-up is sometimes push-ups, people will get to dump their hip will tilt forward as they do the push-up, and you can almost see how my upper body is lower than my hips, and we want to engage this more so we can feel it by doing this exercise or development. We're going to go legs straight. We're going to think feet together, toes pull back so your feet are flexed. Lift your heels off the ground just an inch, and then lift your head off the ground just an inch, and just put your hands at your side. And then this position is, you can lift just a hair more off your heels, a little more, right there. Right? And you can feel it from there, pretty tense. You can see the smile on his face, which tells me that he is engaging everything the right way. And you can see how tense everything is in the midline. That's the activity that we should have if he flipped into our push-up position. So we'll start at the top of the push-up. Good. We want to have all of this engaged. And again, dumping the hip would be here. We want to engage that ab just like he was before. Like if I was to hit him in the stomach from here, this is going to be pretty solid, right? That's the engagement we want to have. And then the hard part is we have to keep this engagement throughout the range of motion, all the way down, all the way up, and then coming back to that position right there. The last little fault that I want to talk about, you can relax for one more time. So we have the hand position set up as far as length and angles, right? We've got our hip position and body and midline engagement is going to be the shoulder and neck position. Ready? One more time. right? For a push-up, we want to try to keep that neck and spine, in most movements actually, pretty in line with our body. What happens when we think about, I have to get lower to the ground because of the push-up, is sometimes I start to lead with my head, and that starts to compromise the shoulder position. So we want to make sure almost feel like the back of your head is pulling up to the ceiling, right? Think the lower part of the back of your head, like that, right? So it's not this, but you can see as soon as he felt like he's lifting this part, now everything is engaged. Now he stays with that spinal neck alignment as he goes down, comes up. That's going to be a solid looking push-up position. So check those faults: hands, hips, and neck.